Mitch from PickDogs.com here with Chris, Jovan, and Al. Just the four of us this morning. So here with your free picks. We've got NBA, college football, NHL, and college hoops all in action today. Chris, how's it going?
It's going well. Like you said, it's a loaded card today. I'm excited for it. One of the bigger college hoops cards we've seen so far, and championship Saturday in college football. I'm ready for it.
Definitely, seeing some odd betting action out there in college football today. I think one of those days where the sharp chasers get run over like a truck. Jovan, what's happening?
Not much. Just looking forward to another big Saturday. More on the college basketball side today for a change. We're getting into that time of season where college basketball on a Sunday, man, you're gonna have to be picking through. It's like a needle in the haystack with 100 games. You know what I mean? So there's gonna be a lot of plays to be had. It's just 100 games is 100 games on the college basketball Saturday. So it's a lot to dig into.
Definitely is. Al Ninos, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. Doing good. Just, going through the schedule, man. Million games today, so it always just means a very busy time for us here at Pick Dogs.
Definitely a couple college basketball games I could have added as a premium, but definitely, looking forward to giving them out on the show.
Yep, I'm not sure where everybody's at, but we're good to go with who we have here today. That's for sure. Anyways, Chris, let's just get started because we got so much ground to cover. Yeah. We'll just start with the college football and some of these big games right out of the gate. We'll just try and bunch two at a time, I guess. So we can get through everything. TCU, Kansas State, Ohio against Toledo to get things started. Any thoughts on either of these two?
Yeah, I'm still sticking with my guns on Ohio. This is a really good Ohio rush defense. They finished second in the MAC in rush defense. And Toledo, I'm still not 100% that DeQuan Finn is fully healthy, and I think Toledo needs him to be fully healthy to have their best shot at winning this game. We saw what happened when Finn, wasn't 100% when he didn't really play all that much against Western Michigan, and Toledo lost that game outright as double-digit favorites, only put up 14 points. So I know Ohio's on their backup quarterback as well, but they can run the football extremely well. I think Ohio at least keeps this within a field goal if they don't win this outright.
Any thoughts on the other game? We know that, my opinion always is that rematches are generally, especially in college football, are generally like boxing matches where the first game they're kind of feeling each other out. The second game they just pick up where they left off, and of course TCU was ringing up Kansas State like a cowbell, beating on them where we last left off. They could have probably scored 150 points on them before all was said and done. Just the clock ran out of time, but they spotted them 18 and then just really, really uncorked on them, kind of like the way Utah did on USC last night.
Man, first of all, I'll say kudos to that Cam Rising hit, man. He popped right back up. That's been all over social media, but man, he's going to be fun to watch at the next level. But that Kansas State TCU game, I think I'm still leaning towards the over in that game, TCU as well. But I like the over. I think it's going to be still a high scoring game. I know there's tape out for TCU on Will Howard, but I think that doesn't mean that there's not going to be points coming up on the board in this one. I think it's going to be a track meet, as a lot of TCU games have been this season. So I like the over in that one, over 60.5.
I'm going to go on the under, I think.
Yeah.
I just think I don't see how Kansas State scores more than 3 points. Jovan, really? Go ahead. Oh, they're going to get killed.
Okay.
No, they're going to get slaughtered.
Fair enough.
No, I see a back and forth game in that one.
But there was no back and forth after the last time. It was only back. It was. There was nothing going on.
I know, but when you get to the third string quarterback and the wheels basically fell off in the second half, it's just one of those things. Even when Howard came in, they were still, producing. So I don't know. I just think this game's going to be a back and forth affair, high scoring. Last team with the ball with an opportunity to win, one of those type of games. I don't know who's going to have the ball last, but I think it's just going to be like that. It adds excitement to to the start of the day, that's for sure. But in that scenario, But the second game, I think this is the lowest scoring game. Chris touched on it. Finn, he's a big part of what Toledo does. So if that ankle injury, he's been dealing with that for a few weeks, and if he's not, if even if he's out there, if he's not at peak performance level, then they're not going to be able to move the ball. You saw what happened last week with Western Michigan. They only put up 14 points. I think it's a low scoring game, and so I'm gonna take the under in that one, even with the total drop of 7 points.
Alinios?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the over in the TCU Kansas State game. I think we saw an over in the last meeting, and I don't think it's gonna be much different. I mean, you talked about round 2 in the boxing match. Unfortunately, USC did not win their round 2 yesterday, but
No, it was exactly the same thing, man. It was a physical beatdown. I was texting with Romanelli. I caught the plus 411 on the in game on Utah on the outright win. It was about as easy money as it gets. I thought that was the biggest mismatch of all the championship games. Lincoln Riley defense in a championship game. We've seen that act before. Nothing pretty about it, man.
I mean,
Defense is horrible.
Yeah, they couldn't tackle. They couldn't make
the tackling was just. What tackling? How many times was the receiver tackled or contact with the defender, like square contact, and then get he's 10 yards down the field and then into the end zone. With the guy like tackling high, grabbing at the ball instead of trying to tackle him. I mean, just all is amateur hour out there for
tough to
well-paid USC team.
Tough to watch as a Trojans fan. But back to this game. I do think it's going to be the offenses. Both offenses, I think, have the edge over the other team's defenses, and I think they will score be a high-scoring game. So I'm taking the over 60.5 in this one.
I like the under in this game. I don't see how Kansas State scores more than a field goal, if even that, unless they get turnovers. I don't see them scoring in this game. We saw TCU the last few games that were similar to this one. The last week against Iowa State, where once again a lot of people on Iowa State, the sharp money was all over Iowa State, got absolutely slaughtered. And then the Texas game, where it was just, I mean, you want to talk about the head fake. I think the world was on Texas in that game, and TCU's defense just the claws came out. And if you can't block TCU's defense with Texas's offensive line and with Bijan running behind it, good luck, Kansas State, a team that I've bet on a ton this season. And the Deuce, one of my favorite players, and I believe he will be playing on Sundays. But today, you can't run the Deuce when you're down by 25 points. I do not see TCU falling behind in this game. And this is a game, college football is a game that's built on emotion. And TCU's been waiting 7 years for this game. I just can't think that they're going to come out flat in a game that they've waited so long and have just woofed crap about being disrespected for so long. And now you have the chance. Now it is right in front of you on a silver platter. This is your chance. A team that you whipped their ass the last time you played them, right? You whipped them, okay? Here they are in front of you again. All you got to do is beat these guys, and you got a quarterback that's going for the Heisman Trophy after Williams' performance last night. The Heisman Trophy race opens up again, and you got to believe that this TCU quarterback will be there in New York next week. He will have a chance for the trophy. He comes out with a big game today. He could win it. They know that. There's too many things here. It's like all that dead sharp money, man, on Kansas State just makes me like TCU even more. Because we've seen the Sharps get absolutely clobbered. They were on the Raptors last night, right? I mean, they got slaughtered. Right? So I don't see it at all. I mean, I've been wrong before. I've gone on rants on this show before. I've been dead wrong a million times, right? I've been right a bunch of times too. So we'll see what happens in that one. I like also Ohio against Toledo. In the MAC, you just take the dog every game. Pretty much the way it works. No reason to overcomplicate it. We've got Coastal Carolina taking on Troy. This is a line dropper too, man. They must not have seen Coastal last week. And then Boise against Fresno and Tulane against UCF. Chris, what do you think of these?
Yeah, I'm still wondering if that line drop may be related to Grayson McCall if he ends up actually playing. So that may be a game you have to kind of wait up until closer to kickoff to try to get in some action on. But I like the over between Fresno State and Boise. I know we kind of went back and forth on it yesterday, but I still think this is, a different Fresno State team when you have Jake Haener under center. He was, the Mountain West preseason player of the year. And I think he shows up to at least, give the Bulldogs a fighting shot in this one. And Boise State, I think they're going to get their fair share of points. We talked about how the offense improved, under Taylon Green ever since they shifted away from Hank Bachmeier at quarterback. And I mean, this is a Boise State team that hung 40 on Fresno State when they met on the blue turf in the first meeting of the season. And Fresno, they put up 20 with their backup quarterback. And I think that they can at least do a little bit more damage with Haener in under center. So I like the over 54.5 in that one.
Mountain West has been so bad this season. Really, though, and as good as they are in hoops these days, they're so bad in football right now.
This was a very bad year for the Mountain West.
Bad year. San Diego State was like not good.
Didn't
Utah
they start,
State bad.
Didn't they start the year ranked San Diego State?
Yeah, Utah State. I mean, remember the UConn game, the opening game of the season?
Yeah.
Big hopes. Then they went to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
They got shut out.
Yeah.
It's like just Colorado State, just terrible.
San Diego State might be my biggest disappointment of the year from that conference.
Well, you're my biggest disappointment, Chris. Don't worry about it.
I wear that like a badge of honor. It means a lot that you think that highly of me.
Still safe with me. Jovan, what do you think of these games?
Yeah, I mean Grayson McCall's status. That's the key to this game, I believe. What's his current status right now? Is he upgraded? Because I thought he was out.
It's still game time.
Yeah, I saw questionable.
He's definitely not out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if he plays, if he plays, I mean, how many weeks is he out from that injury? At least a few weeks.
At least 3. He was 3 to 6 at first.
I would say
first week in November.
I would say he's close, and if he's in play, then they're a live dog. So I would lean that way. I would lean with Coastal, and for the other one, I think there's points to be had in this game. Fresno and Boise. I think both of these offenses can move the ball against these defenses. So I'm gonna go with the over in that one.
Al Ninos.
Yeah, again, as far as the side's concerned, you might want to make your decision now with the line hanging around 7 because that's going to be a big move off that 7 either way. But yeah, with the line dropping down, it definitely looks to me like he will be playing. He's definitely been out long enough too, and it's just a foot injury, so he might not be as mobile, but he should still be able to make his throws. They have a great running game without him, so if he plays, I like this game to go over the total.
Yeah, I like if he plays, I like him. I like them, but it's like basically if you're betting him here, you're betting that he's going to play. I'm going to imagine that he's gonna at this point. If they're not saying he's out, I'm going to guess he is going to play. And in that case, I like Coastal on the money line. And I think that's the play here. Either you play him, on the money line, or you just stay the hell away.
Mm-hmm.
Fresno against Boise, like I said, the Mountain West has been terrible. So Fresno's been on a great run, but tough to tell, because they've beaten up on the soft part of the conference. And Boise, same, they've beaten up on basically the soft part of the conference, but they have looked a little bit more convincing to me. As far as Tulane and UCF, once again, it's a rematch of two teams that just played. And to me, in that one, it was window dressing Tulane's last touchdown to get it even reasonably close. UCF dominated that game from start to finish. They were just way more physical in that thing. They just hit them hard and hit them again. And every time they got up, they hit them again. It was kind of like last night. I think we're going to see a lot of games like last night's game where it's like the guy gets up, you just hit him again, hit him again, and hit him again, and hit him again. And it's all of a sudden, it's whoever wins that line of scrimmage battle. This is what these games come down to. Whoever wins the line. We saw it last night. We saw that USC line just fall to pieces. And it was, that's how these games are won. 99% of all football games are won, blocking and tackling. That's how you can talk about the receivers and the great catches and the throws, and that those do not happen unless they're blocking, And on the other side, the stops and all that stuff doesn't happen if you don't make the tackles. We saw it. We've seen it both ways, But anyways, we got a spammer. So get rid of them. All right. Go to the next set of games. Georgia taking on LSU. Obviously, the Bulldogs, I believe, win or lose, are in. North Carolina versus Clemson. Clemson, if just the chips happen to fall just the right way, they would need a TCU loss more than likely, and then it'll be an argument between them and Alabama. That's really what it would come down to. And it's because they'll have a win in a championship game, and Alabama won't have that. And Alabama will have that game against Texas, even though they won, that'll be hanging over their head, and that's what everyone will be pointing to. Not a good Alabama team. Neither of these teams are going to do anything in a playoff anyway. I think Ohio State is an interesting one in. But then you got Michigan against Purdue. Once again, all the sharps on Purdue, I don't know how they're going to score a point. Chris, go ahead.
I think that Michigan Purdue game, for me, at least in my opinion, is the reasoning to why you don't have divisions in a conference. I think I want to see the two best teams go at it in the conference championship, and I have no desire to see Purdue in this game, in a game that they're likely going to get shellacked in. I think this one's Michigan first half. I think this one's Michigan full game, Michigan alternate line, Michigan what have you. The asses are going to be red on Michigan sideline with how much slapping is going to be going on that sideline. I see this one easily 42-10, something like that. So I'll take Michigan in that one. I also like North Carolina plus the points, maybe a little bit on the money line against Clemson. I didn't like what I saw from Clemson against South Carolina last week. And I think, North Carolina, while they have had a porous defense, I don't know if DJU is in a position to really take advantage of that. And I think Drake May could have a solid day against Clemson. So give me North Carolina plus the points.
Purdue 97th in the nation against the pass, or in rushing, in rushing the football. 97th. Jovan, any thoughts on these three?
Yeah, just real quick, I want to backtrack on the UCF and Tulane game. I like the under in that one. Just injury concerns at the quarterback position for Central Florida. So the LSU Georgia game, I like the under in this one. Getting a couple extra points because the total got driven up a little bit. I just don't really see how LSU against this defense, against this top rated defense of Georgia, just don't see how they consistently move the ball. Injuries concerns to their quarterback, to the Tigers quarterback. So can he use his legs in this game? I don't know. But it's gonna be tough sledding for LSU in this one. So I like the under in that one. I really don't have a real opinion on Clemson and UNC. Clemson did look bad last week, but I don't know their motivation, and that's the reason why I really wasn't eyeing this game. They're out of it. They're used to being in the top four. They're not in it right now, and their motivation you just don't know. So and I like Clemson. I'm a Clemson guy. So UNC, they could get scored on by anybody. So Clemson can't move the ball against them. So just don't want to touch it.
I think that if TCU loses, Clemson Clemson's going to have a case if they win this game.
Yeah, they
will
have a case. They definitely have a case. Them, Alabama.
They would have a much better case than Alabama winning a conference championship. They would have a much better case winning the regular season championship and winning the conference championship game.
They will, but who do you think that committee wants in, in the bowl?
Tough to say because Clemson has been given the shake a few times in these scenarios over teams like Ohio State, which have the huge backing too. So tough to say.
It's true. It's true.
Personally, I think TCU takes care of business and it's not going to matter. But it's
But the way I look at it is as I look at it like this: who's the quarterback for those two teams? Bryce Young versus DJ. I don't want to mess up his last name. Alugale. Yeah,
Oh, I know. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So then you have Ohio State in the mix still. With their one loss, even though they got beat up and down the field last week.
I would believe they're in.
You think they're in?
They're in after last night.
Oh yeah.
I would say they're in.
Considering last night, yeah.
I would say they're the most dangerous team of these other ones too. I would say if they catch just the right day. We've seen Ohio State do it before, get hot at the playoff time. The Urban Meyer team with Ezekiel Elliott when TCU got screwed the last time.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's what TCU is still mad about it. It is, it is 7 years later, and these guys are still talking about it like it was yesterday. It's like me with the 2001 Rose Bowl. I'm still pissed, I'm still mad about it. It's like we haven't forgotten about it.
Right.
We play Ohio State. Believe me, we take it out on their ass every single time. We don't even think twice about it. It's like these kids weren't even alive when that happened.
A lot of them. That Purdue Michigan game, I'm gonna lean over. I just think that Purdue in the at least in the first half of the game can move the ball against Michigan, make it closer than what it's supposed to be. I think they could get in the end zone a couple times at least in the first half. So I'll lean over in that one, and then if the scenario is they're chasing points, which I always like, see if anticipate if a team's chasing points, then they're gonna be in the fourth down situations. If they don't make it, it's a short field for the other team. So that's what I'm thinking about as far as the over goes in that game.
El Niños.
Yeah, I don't mind the over at all, and I kind of might play on it too. I just hope Jovan's wrong about that first part he was going on because my play's on Michigan in the first half here. But if he is right, this game should definitely go over the total. But I'm seeing Michigan -9.5, -105 actually in the first half, and I'm going to go with that. And I like the over as well here, 52. This seems pretty low for this game. And the other one, smaller lean to North Carolina with the points.
I kind of like Carolina with the points. I think Clemson does have motivation. If Kansas State by some chance knocks off TCU, you will see Clemson come out and open it up on them. But outside of that, I think that I think Carolina's got a puncher's chance here. I've seen worse Carolina teams play Clemson teams tougher in championship games. That year that Clemson lost to Alabama on the onside kick in the national championship game, the Clemson North Carolina game in the ACC championship was a classic. And I think that and that was, I believe that was Deshaun Watson's team. If not, it was the guy before him who was also really good. But I think that I think this game has that type of chance because Clemson's offense just seems to sputter to me. They have odd play calling, like these 3rd and 7 draw plays. I don't love it, and I think it's great to run the quarterback, but believe it or not, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I kind of like the way the Giants do it, with the running of the quarterback and the Titans. the way they run the quarterback, a lot better than Clemson does, where it's kind of like a delayed play where he kind of just stands there and then he runs between the tackles. I like the way that Daniel Jones and Tannehill like fake the handoff to Henry and to Saquon and then just take it around the end. Just, and this is the way I'm going to go. And they get 7-8 yards every single time on that. And I think DJ would too. So maybe they do. Maybe they run the play. Maybe Dabo's listening. But, I don't know. I hardly think that if you have Kansas State, then you have to have Clemson. It's like you have to have that. That's the combination. But if you don't, then probably UNC's the better play. US trying to muster some offense here against Netherlands. Chris, any chance the US can rally after that early goal that they gave up?
I think there's always going to be a chance in the knockout stage when you're only down 1 goal. But if the Netherlands were to get a second, I think that would be a backbreaker. But
the U.S. is really pressing forward here. They're not waiting to see what happens and playing it out. They are just pressing like it's basically pulling the goalie in hockey type offense here. I mean, they've got everybody up.
This is traditional Dutch hockey. They always tend to really attack in the first 15 minutes of each half. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the U.S. pick up a couple more chances to end the half.
Well, they got another shot here, but
they'll have to look out.
Their guy's clearly offsides. It's like I can see it. Why wouldn't the ref be able to see it? But here we go. The U.S.'s guy, Pulisic, right here in there, and the U.S. is pressing forward. I don't really follow soccer, but I do watch the World Cup. Tough not to, right? Yeah. Anyways, speaking of NBA, let's go to NBA here, and we've got we got a pretty decent card today, right? I think today I really struggled with premium picks today in the NBA. Yesterday, I loved the card, and I even left some out. But today, I really think it's a tough card. Maybe we find some clarity here when we go over these games. We got the Knicks against the Mavericks. Line has dropped a little bit in that one. Clippers against the Kings. The Hornets against the Bucks. And then the Raptors get back home against the Magic. Chris, any of these?
Yeah, I don't love this section, but I would probably go with the Kings plus the 1.5 against the Clippers. I know obviously these injuries are still factored into the line, but I'm still seeing Paul George out, Kennard out, Leonard out, even Norman Powell out as well, and that many guys out of the lineup. Just I can't feel good about taking the Clippers. When the Kings are playing some of their best ball of the season, 7-3 in their last 10. So I would lean towards the Kings in that one. And I also lean towards the Bucks laying the 8 against, laying the 6, against the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets, I think they got to win yesterday, but a blind squirrel is going to find a nut every once in a while. They're not going to win every single game, and I think the Milwaukee Bucks go into Charlotte and stomp them. So
how about the Rockets, man, beating the Suns? You talk about the blind squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. The NBA for you.
Yeah.
It is the NBA. That was crazy, right?
Yeah. Sure was.
Yeah, so look at this Dallas New York game. Last time I saw the Knicks in the matinee game, they was getting boat raced by the Thunder on a Sunday afternoon, a 12 o'clock start. And Luka in New York, I predict a triple-double, 35, 12 and 11, something like that. And I think he takes control and, y'all pulls out a win for the Mavericks. The bad ATS record, I know, but I'm on Dallas.
El Niños.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of struggled to get there with at least a 3-pack. I didn't get a 3-pack in the NBA on the premium side, but did get a couple premiums in. But some tougher games here, and big question mark, especially in this slot here. This Mavericks Knicks game, at first glance, you want to take the Mavericks, but I don't know. I dug a little deeper into it, and Knicks are pretty live here, so I don't know. I think Doncic does have a big game in New York, but I don't know if they get the win there. I would still lean that way, but not a game I'm betting. and the Clippers game, you had a good read on the line and the injury report this time. I don't see George and Leonard out. I see them questionable for this one. And the line kind of tells me they might play here. I mean, I don't know. If you think they play, I'd definitely grab the Clippers now. But if you like the Kings, I'd wait because the .5 or the plus 103, I don't care. It'd probably move to like -2 or something, maybe 3 if Leonard and George are out. So I'd probably wait on this one and see how that injury report goes. But obviously, if they're in, I like the Clippers. If they're out, I like the Kings.
I'm just going to stick with the basics here. Raptors on the road, sell. Raptors at home, buy. It's like it pretty much has been that easy there, and I'm not going to overcomplicate it. The Magic are not a good team. You don't just get that number 1 overall pick by chance. You got to be pretty lousy to get that. The Magic, definitely a work in progress. They're going to get better. Not tonight, though. I like the Raptors at home there. I trust the Charlotte Hornets about 0. When they look good and the Bucks looked bad last night, I think that kind of flip-flop things there. As far as the Kings and the Clippers, I trust them both 0, and the Knicks and the Mavs, even 1 point. I still not going to lay it with the Mavericks. Go to our next set. Thunder and the Timberwolves, the Warriors and the Rockets, and the Jazz and the Blazers. Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Oklahoma City Thunder here. Getting them kind of right where we want them in that underdog role, getting 6 points. 11-4 the Thunder are when they're catching at least 3 points this season. I think they have a potential shot to win this one outright, as they normally do in the underdog role, but still going to take the points with the Thunder. I know the Rockets got the win yesterday, but I think we'll still stick with the Golden State Warriors. Golden State, this is a team that, like Mitch, like you mentioned with the Raptors, you sell them on the road, you buy them at home. And I think that's exactly what we got with Golden State here. So I'll take the Warriors in that one.
Jovan?
Yeah, I'm on OKC in this one. The injury to Towns is actually might be a blessing in disguise for the Timberwolves, which was evidence in that last game. But I just think in this one, with the Thunder, they're a covering team, and I can't not back them, in this spot. I think they keep it within this number. So it looks like a shorter number to me, which would tell me to take the Thunder even more. So I would have expected the odds makers to make this like a 7 or 8 point line. So, but so let me get the Thunder.
Al Niños?
You're saying 7 or 8 points with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in or out of the lineup?
Is he out?
He's questionable.
I mean that's the big unknown. But hey,
Yeah.
I've seen the Thunder. Even without him, keep games close. So I don't think it matters.
Especially with no Towns, I think they can keep it close. Yeah, whether he plays or not. If he plays, it's going to be a great play to have the points now at this line. So yeah, I'll grab the points with the Thunder.
All right. Once again, like I said, I don't love this NBA lineup. Maybe the Warriors. Last night, I had them at 7. They won by 8. It was like, they let it get all the way down to 1. They certainly made us sweat it out. I don't feel like sweating with those guys again. They should blow the Rockets out of the building in this one. It's a lean to the Jazz. I think these are 2 teams that are going in the wrong direction, but I think the Blazers are headed more quickly as the Netherlands scores again, 2-0. And now, and I'm with you guys on the Thunder buddies. This game could get ugly here. Anyways, I don't mean the Thunder game, I mean the U.S. game. I think this is just, I think they're just playing against a better team here. This is going to be like the TCU Kansas State game, like 68-0. I mean, this is just throw in, back it around. I mean, they make it look easy, right? Just, I mean, the guy's wide open in front of the net.
Just outclassed.
Yeah, not our game. I always say, what would happen if Roquan Smith was playing defender there and that guy tried to stand there wide open? What would happen? What would happen if I think Donovan Mitchell would be the goalie, man, on my team? He's just guy's just a freak of nature, you know. If I had my choice, like him. I know Hakeem was a goalie before he started playing hoops. I can only imagine how good he was, you know. But I think Donovan Mitchell would be my guy as the goalie. I think
Giannis would be a good goalie, man.
he wouldn't be on our team. That would be the problem.
I know. I am Greek, man. So.
Well, he wouldn't be on our team.
He'd be on my team.
Switch.
The problem is that you wouldn't have Tyreek Hill as your striker either. Like,
yeah, I could. I'm American too.
I think like Tyreek would be pretty good, you know, as the striker. I don't think anyone would be running him down anytime soon.
I was like trying to find the loophole. It's like it's the USA versus the world. He's like, but the USA is part of the world, and he's like trying to get everybody on all the best players on the one team.
Kawhi. Yeah, Kawhi. The problem with Kawhi is he wouldn't play, man.
Yeah, he'd get injured.
Kawhi, like, yeah, I don't feel it. Oh, World Cup, I can't do it.
It's not like teams haven't given out passports for players before, so you know, something I could look into.
Anyways, what are you selling today, Chris?
I got a couple 3-packs on the go for the college football today. I got an early 3-pack. Or sorry, I got a college football 3-pack and a couple of college hoops early and late 3-packs as well. I've also got my $15 college hoops fast break on the board. But this is the time we always talk about hopping on long term. It's the best bang for your buck, whether it's just me or pairing us up as part of the 2-for-1 capper promotion. This is the time to take advantage of it and still use that promo code PICK for 15% off.
Jovan, how about you?
Yeah, I got a college football 5-pack. I got a couple 3-packs. I got 6 plays in college football in total. Also separately, also individually. And I will have college basketball and NBA play up momentarily.
El Niños, what are you selling?
Well, my soccer went off, but got a little bit of everything. Got a 3-pack in college football, 3-pack in the NHL. Got my NBA play and college basketball. So grab a long-term 2-for-1 capper special if you want all those plays.
Well, hopefully you got the Dutch in this one.
I do.
Traitor. Anyways,
Hey, man.
I have a college football 3-pack, and then I also have my college football game of the day. But the thing is that I also I have a ton of college basketball picks out there. I think I even have more to add. So I just have to group them together in a 3-pack. But if you buy my long term, you've already gotten the picks, and you guys know there's I love it. I love today's college basketball card. Yesterday I kind of got bruised on it, but today I bounced back pretty big. My NBA, it's kind of like my NBA. I started off the season, I had like a little setback, and then I've been rolling since then. College basketball, I started the season and I had a little setback, and then I've been rolling forward. And then last night, kind of stepped back again, but I'm still right there. I still have a winning record for the season. I've just been getting juiced because I have so many games. But it's the way of the world. Speaking of the way of the world, we're going to skip the NHL since Rod's not here. Chris, you got anything to say about the NHL today? Is Calgary playing to fade them?
I think they are. I just can't remember who they're playing, but if you see Calgary on the board, go the other way.
Yeah, we've been fading Calgary like till the wheels fall off.
Oh, I think they're playing Washington today.
Oh, perfect. I like the Capitals in that one. We're getting plus money on them. I'll take Washington against them. And let's see. Anything else on here that we like?
I think you guys are playing today.
Oh, I love the Lightning against Maple Leafs.
Go home.
Betting tools, man. Betting
know,
tools.
I know.
Betting tools. Betting tools, man. Betting tools.
Look, that's the Leafs fan coming out of me. Okay,
I know.
I'm a
Betting
loser
tools,
at this
man.
point.
Betting tools. Betting
Yeah,
tools.
I know.
Betting tools, man.
I know. That's what scares me.
I
Betting
agree with
tools.
Mitchie Pucks there on that Lightning, but should be a good game.
Oh, you go home too. You're from there.
I am.
So do we in-game the U.S. here, or
Let's see what you got on
they've had chances, man. You know, they've had a few shots here. It's like, but they just have not been able to take advantage of it. But the thing is that when you're that far forward, they will get their chances. All right, let's go to college hoops, man. We got a massive card. We're going to go as quickly as we can through this thing. We're going to group them in bunches and try not to get – well, Rod's not here, so we don't have to worry about the long-winded.
The filibuster.
Where's Rod? At the game?
I don't know. I don't know.
He just, like, took off.
Yeah.
I know Romanelli's got internet issues.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Tulane against Fordham, Notre Dame, Syracuse, Georgetown, South Carolina, Ohio State versus St. Francis of Pennsylvania, Furman, SC State, Gardner-Webb versus Chattanooga, Villanova, Oklahoma. Any of those, Chris?
The couple I like here, I like Notre Dame laying the points against Syracuse. This Syracuse team is just an absolute disaster. And, I know these games historically have been close. I think 3 of the last 6 meetings have been decided by 2 points or less. But this year, Notre Dame doesn't play at a fast pace, but the shots they do take, they're one of the best teams in effective field goal percentage. They don't turn the ball over. I think that's going to be key against Syracuse. I look for Syracuse to get rung up again. I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame wins that one by at least 9 or 10 points. So lean towards Notre Dame there. And
but they look good against Illinois.
do I detect a hint of sarcasm? Yeah, and I'm gonna take South Carolina plus the points. I don't want to lay any sort of points with Georgetown. If the Hoyas want to do anything and bring that program back to any sort of prominence, get rid of Patrick Ewing. I'm sorry, he's lost this team. I have no faith in the Hoyas. So
Georgetown has a very hard time letting go of coaches. John Thompson Jr.
I know
Patrick
they do.
Ewing, they do not fire their own too easily there.
Yeah, I know they don't, but this is one instance where I think they should. But yeah, I'll take South Carolina plus whatever points I can get in that one. Maybe even money line.
Who do you bring in?
I don't know, but I'm just saying I think there's.
What's Alonzo Mourning doing?
I honestly have no idea.
Wasn't he Ewing's successor on the court? So
you just see how they pass each other in the hall. You again.
It just seems logical.
Yeah.
What about Sleepy Floyd? Wasn't he on that team? Michael Graham?
No.
There's some other Hoyas.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that game too, but I'm gonna go the opposite direction. South Carolina, they're a bad team, man. I think they're cursed by the firing of Frank Martin. I don't think he deserved to get fired, but hey, whatever. And I don't want to lay points with Georgetown, but in this instance, I think they get the dub, and I think they could cover this one. So I'm slight lean to Georgetown.
Al Niños.
Yeah, I'll agree with Chris on Notre Dame. The line getting up there, but I think it might still be bettable here. So give me Notre Dame.
I like Fordham in the early game against Tulane. They've played nobody, Fordham, but I don't know. I think that they're pretty decent. So what happened at Fordham, it was the coach that's the coach of Villanova now.
Yeah. Was
the coach of Fordham. And he put together a pretty decent team there. They're not bad. I think they have a shot against Tulane, they've beaten nobody either, and they haven't covered a spread to save their life. It's a lean to Fordham getting the bundle of points. I think Tulane's looking ahead to the UCF game. So they're looking ahead. I like South Carolina against Georgetown. I'm not laying 5.5 points with Georgetown anytime soon. I like Jackson on South Carolina. I think he's one of the best players in the country. Villanova, Oklahoma. Did we we do that one?
I think that one was in the last.
Oh, okay. Villanova, Oklahoma. VMI Navy, St. Joe's fairly disinterested. Temple VCU. That just seems like a classic game. Those teams seem to play each other a lot, right? Citadel versus Charleston. Army versus Wagner. Miami of Ohio versus Indiana State. Mississippi State versus Mississippi Valley State. 34-point number in that one. Dartmouth versus CSB. Bowling Green versus Morgan State. High Point versus North Florida. NJIT versus Bucknell. Northern Iowa versus Evansville. Delaware versus Davidson. Drexel, Princeton. George Mason, Toledo. Butler, Tennessee Tech. Penn versus LaSalle. Virginia versus Florida State. Asheville versus Tennessee Martin. Moorhead versus Northern Alabama. Duquesne, Ball State. Dayton, Southeast Louisiana. I'm just going through the 2 o'clock time slot. Lehigh versus UMBC. Sacred Heart, UMass. Winthrop, Coastal. Chris, any of these 2 o'clock?
Take a breath. Holy jeez.
Well, it's like we gotta cover them. You know,
I know we do. I know, but this is the biggest 2 o'clock time slot I think I've ever seen.
We got wood to chop here.
Yeah. A couple I like here. I like Morgan State plus the points against Bowling Green. Morgan State actually, top 35 in the country in scoring. Bowling Green in the 300s defensively, allowing well over 76 points a game. And I think Morgan State can at least keep that one close, potentially pull off the outright upset of Bowling Green. Bowling Green, not a good basketball team this year, so give me Morgan State plus the points there. I like College of Charleston against Citadel. I know we have another name for them, but I want no part of the Citadel at this point. I think Charleston just runs and guns past Citadel. And I think Charleston could walk to this game. I think it's less than like 2 miles away from each other. So I'll take Charleston in that one. I think they have at least a solid turnout at that game. And the last one I like here, I like Dayton laying the points against Southeastern Louisiana. This Dayton team hasn't done all that well early on this season. They are 4-4, but this seems like a spot where the offense wakes up. We saw Southeastern Louisiana get pummeled by Xavier. I know Dayton doesn't play it as fast a pace as Xavier, but I think Dayton can do enough to win that game by 20 plus.
Jovan?
Yeah, I like the under in the VCU Temple game. I just think it's going to be one of those hard fought, defensive games. Might, just get to the 55 to 60 points somewhere around there for the winner. That's what I'm seeing there. And I like College of Charleston, in the Battle of Charleston. I expect them to get it done, win by about 15 points against the Citadel. And Indiana State's looking real good. I'll lean Indiana State. I will lean with the Sycamores, to get it done, cover that on 6.5 point spread.
Al Niños.
Huge time slot. But I'm gonna look at one game that probably should have been a premium pick, and that's Princeton. They're the much better team, pretty much everywhere, all over the court, and that's a very, very reasonable line to be laying with them right there. So I'll take Princeton.
I like Penn against LaSalle. I think Fran Dunphy's got some work cut out for him at LaSalle, and I think Penn. I like the way they shoot. They got off to a slow start to the season, but I think when you have teams that are shooters, once they start rolling, they are rolling. And I like Penn in that one. I think I like Virginia against Florida State. I think Florida State, last time out had a nice showing against Purdue, but I think they put the clamps on. They put the clamps on them. I like what was the other one I was looking at? I like Dayton as well against Southeast Louisiana in that one. Got Cleveland, Buffalo, St. Bonaventure, Cleveland State, Detroit, Purdue, Fort Wayne, Oakland, Tulsa versus Oral Roberts, SMU, Jackson State, Delaware State, Longwood, SIU versus Troy, BYU versus South Dakota, Western Illinois versus Texas Rio Grande Valley, Wyoming versus Grand Canyon, Elon versus UNC Greensboro, Duke versus Boston College, Rutgers versus Indiana, Portland State against Air Force, Mount St. Mary's against Rider, East Tennessee versus Jacksonville, St. Louis versus Southern Illinois, Utah Valley versus Long Beach State. What up, Beaches? Loyola Chicago versus DePaul, Austin Peay versus Tennessee State, Arkansas, San Jose State. Man, a lot of games, right?
Yeah.
Binghamton versus Stonehill, Columbia versus New Hampshire. All right, Chris, any of those?
And try to keep up with you, but I'm gonna go with I liked Oral Roberts a lot closer to 2. I lean towards them at 4.5. But I still think Oral Roberts probably playing that one. Tulsa has just been dreadful, and I think that between two teams that have had defensive issues, I at least want the team in Oral Roberts that can score 80 points a game. So give me Oral Roberts in that one. Also, give me Duke laying the points against Boston College. I've been soured on Duke pretty much all season. I'm not a huge fan of this Duke team. Just fairly unproven, and I think it's still going to take a little while for John Shire to really get his fingerprints on this Duke program. But Boston College just has major issues offensively, and if Duke can't, blow past Boston College here, there may be some issues with the Blue Devils at least entering conference play. So I'll lean towards Duke in that one. And I also lean towards Indiana, laying the points against Rutgers. I know this is a letdown spot for Indiana after such a big win over North Carolina, going on the road, taking on a tough defense in Rutgers, who usually plays their best ball at home. But I still have issues with Rutgers' strength of schedule. They're still in the 330s in strength of schedule, even after the game against Miami, which they did lose, by the way. You can just see how that step up in competition affected Rutgers. I think Trace Jackson-Davis has a big game here. I like Indiana laying the points.
Yeah, not much else to say other than what Chris said in the Oral Roberts game. I like them better at 2, but even at 4.5, I think they get the job done. Just a way better offensive team. So I like Oral Roberts. This game, I touch this game every year. Every time they play, at least. The Indiana Rutgers game, last year I took Indiana. I think they was up 17 at the half and ended up blowing the game. I think that's how it went down. But or that might have been either that or the Wisconsin game. I don't know. But either way, I like Indiana in this one. I usually fade Rutgers in spots. They don't have Ron Harper and Geo Baker. I think in a game like this, that looms large. And I think Indiana gets the job done on the road.
Al Ninos.
Yeah, I strongly agree with the guys here. Oral Roberts was the other one I wish I'd put in as a premium play. And yeah, bigger line move on this one, but at 4, it's still bettable. I'm seeing 4, by the way. I need to refresh this, but yeah, I'm seeing 4, so I know 4.5. Shop around there. And the other one, smaller lean, but I did like Indiana as well. In both cases, I just think they're just the better teams here, and especially Oral Roberts should win this one comfortably.
I like BYU against South Dakota. I just think that they're built for this sort of game. They've been prepared for it. I also like Portland State against Air Force. Portland State kind of flying under the radar, but they've played a pretty tough schedule so far. They beat Oregon State. I think Mount St. Mary's against Rider is a good place to stay away. And I think DePaul beats Loyola Chicago too. I think Loyola Chicago now a year removed from the Porter Mosier era. DePaul, they had more Big East wins last year than they had like 10 years before combined. I think they're heading in the right direction. I also like San Jose State plus the points against Arkansas. This is a really, really good Arkansas team. But this San Jose State team, I'm telling you, they won 0 games in the Mountain West last year. But Tim Miles, the first time he coached in the Mountain West, he won 0 games his first year. So I expect San Jose State to be a team that's going to be a lot better this season. Colorado State taking on Northern Colorado. Marquette against Wisconsin. A lot of regional games today, right? Rhode Island, Providence. These are all regional. Vandy, Wofford, Eastern Washington, North Dakota State, New Orleans, ULL, Hampton versus Howard. Line flipped on that one, Jovan. Marshall versus Ohio. Grambling versus Incarnate Word. This is one of the better Grambling teams we've seen. UCSB against Pacific. I love betting against Pacific. I don't care if they won the other day or not. Santa Clara versus Sac State. Loyola, Maryland against Coppin State. They didn't score again, did they? No, they just came really close. Western Carolina versus SC Upstate. North Texas versus Nebraska Omaha. Northern Kentucky versus Robert Morris. Holy Cross versus Central Connecticut. Drake versus Illinois Chicago. Stony Brook Yale. Xavier West Virginia. Texas A&M Boise. Chris, any of these?
Yeah, I'm actually leaning towards UIC plus the points against Drake. This is a Drake team I really like, but the problem is that they haven't been at least covering the double-digit spreads early on this season, and this just feels like a game like UIC can kind of sneak in the back door, lose by 13 or 14 points. I think Drake wins comfortably, but I just think UIC covers in that one. I'm with you. I like UCSB against Pacific. I'm starting to jump on that train of, just fading Pacific, and it's paying off more often than it hasn't this season. So I go with UCSB in that one. I also lean towards Marquette laying the 4.5. It's a tough game, but I just think that game comes down to who dictates the pace. I think Marquette, once they start running and gunning, it's going to make Wisconsin very uncomfortable. And I was really impressed with what I saw from Marquette at home against Baylor. I just think Wisconsin, the secret's out on how to break down this Wisconsin team. We saw it from Wake Forest, so I'll go with Marquette laying the 4.5 in that one.
Jovan?
Yeah, I'm on Providence to bounce back after they took a loss pretty handily in their last game against URI. Nice little rivalry game, in-state rivalry game. So give me Ryland to bounce back. I'm gonna lean towards my Hampton Pirates. This is the battle of the real HU. So see the line flipped, but I don't care about that. I'll take Hampton on the money line to get the job done. I know they're 1-6, but they're 3-3 against the spread, and I don't care really in this game as far as the spread goes because I'm taking the money line at this point. So just give me the Hampton Pirates, and I'll take US CB. I'll take Santa Barbara.
Gauchos. El Niños.
I'll take West Virginia on the money line here. Should be a tough game, good game, but they've been playing well, and their defense has been really solid. So I think that it gives them a shot to win this one out right now. I like the value there with the money line.
Is that it?
Pick. Yeah.
All right. I like UCSB as well against Pacific. I fade Pacific like the Calgary Flames. I like Providence as well. I think they bounce back here against URI. I think URI has a bright future. I just don't think the future is now. I like Archie Miller in that spot. I think he's a better coach than what we saw in Indiana. And I think if they would have given him more time in Indiana, I think he would have probably turned things around there eventually. I like Ohio against Marshall. That just seems a ridiculous amount of points against Ohio, and Yale against Stony Brook. Yale's pretty decent. I also like West Virginia against Xavier, and this is the most underrated West Virginia team I think I've ever seen. I also like Boise against Texas A&M. Money line.
There's also the Bob Huggins against Xavier angle too.
Yep.
He hates him.
Yep, he does. I lived in Cincinnati when he got arrested for his DUI. Huggins. Do you know who I am? Yeah, you're the same guy we've pulled over 6 times and didn't charge. That's the cop said in the video. Do you know he did the do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Like,
Didn't work that time.
I know exactly. You're the guy pulled over 6 times and let go.
You're that Boise quarterback.
It's like that was Reese Witherspoon did the "Do you know who I am"? Do you ever see that video?
No.
She did the "Do you know who I am"? I love the "Do you know who I am"? Man. That's the best. Old Dominion against Norfolk, William and Mary versus Richmond, Fairfield versus St. Peter's, Memphis versus Ole Miss, Milwaukee versus Iwapui, Kansas City versus Lindenwood, Portland versus North Dakota, Pepperdine, Northern Arizona, Idaho State, Southern Utah, Missouri State, Bradley, Alabama, South Dakota State. Chris, any of those?
I like the over between Alabama and South Dakota State. I think that's just going to be a track meet. It was last year. I know the South Dakota State team took a bit of a step back this year, but I still think there's enough talent there to help Alabama. I think Alabama could score into the 85-90 range in that one. I think South Dakota State doesn't take a whole lot to get up into the 155 range. So give me the over in that one. And I also lean towards Milwaukee against Iwapui. I just that Jaguars team is just terrible, and I think Milwaukee can beat them up. And I also like under 132.5 in Ole Miss Memphis, two teams that pride themselves on solid defense. Feels like a 68-60 kind of game for me.
Jovan, what do you think?
I'm gonna ride with Ole Miss against Memphis. Just relative to the point spread, I think these two teams are evenly matched, so where Mississippi could get the job done and keep this within the spread. I see this as a 2-possession game at the very least. So I'm probably more like a 1-possession game with 3 games. So give me Ole Miss. And scrolling down, I was just looking at Bradley. I'll take Bradley. I'll take the points, but I wouldn't mind taking them on the money line as well. Against a Missouri State team that they lost a lot of pieces last year. So Isaiah Mosley and others, Prim, a lot of other guys as a matter of fact. But yeah, give me Bradley.
Al Ninos?
Yeah, I agree. I really like. I don't like it as much as West Virginia play, but I do think there's value on Bradley here on the money line as well. So I'll take Bradley.
I like Southern Utah in this one against Idaho State. I think Bama blows out South Dakota State. They've had a week off now since that North Carolina game. I think they're ready. Plus, they get back home after that big win that they had. I like Richmond against William and Mary. I was out rollerblading. Some guy was wearing a William and Mary shirt. It was kind of a jerk. So I'm going to take Richmond. It's a tribe across the back. Look bad. Not a good look. Wasn't a cool shirt. Cal Baptist against Cal Poly. Weber State versus Utah Tech. UC Irvine versus Fresno. Kansas State versus Wichita State. Houston versus St. Mary's. San Diego, the Toreros versus UNLV. And Loyola Marymount versus Nevada. Pretty good little end close out the night card there. Normally it's like we just throw in these games because they're late night and there's nothing up against them. But I actually really like this as far as entertainment standpoint. I might have to, take Love is Blind off the big screen tonight and maybe watch one of these.
Are they in season 3?
Yeah, I'm only on episode 3. They're already through it, I think.
Okay. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to say anything because there's one thing that just made me laugh about it. So,
about season 3?
Yeah. Have you gotten to the artificial tears yet?
I think so. Yeah.
The guy that pretended to cry. He's like, wait a sec, hold on. He squeezes the drops in his eyes to pretend like he's crying.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Anyways, that's going to be me later on when I watch some of these games. Anyways, I like the under between Kansas State and Wichita State. I just think that's going to be a black and blue slugfest for 40 minutes. Struggles to get to 120 level and 129.5. So give me the under there. And I like UNLV laying the 3.5 on the road against San Diego. It's a decent San Diego team, but UNLV leading the country in turnover percentage on defense. They're just forcing teams to be very uncomfortable, and they can push the pace. And I think they just roll past San Diego in this one, so I'll take UNLV.
You think we start breaking out the excuses for Team US here, talking about how number 10 was injured? He was kind of banged up last game.
Well, they've been loading for 2
That's why we
weeks.
lost.
Man.
It's not because 90% of our best athletes play other sports. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with it at all. That I don't know, man.
And maybe some of these teams would be better at basketball if their best players played basketball.
How about Paul George? You think he would be a pretty good defender? Like just playing defense back there? What do you think? How about LeBron?
Just for the record, though, like 2 of the greatest players ever are probably shorter than 5'7".
Oh, I understand. And imagine them going up for a header against LBJ there. Good luck.
Yeah, there's someone else to go for the header.
Yeah, LeBron. 270 pounds, 6 foot, whatever. It's like, yeah.
I ain't gonna hate because Greece won a whole Euro based on headers and good goalkeeping. So that's still a solid strategy as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I understand. I understand all that stuff, but it's like, and I know that some of the greatest players of all time are small. Maradona was a small guy. There's been some great players that have been small stature in soccer. There's been some great football players that are small in stature. There's been some great basketball players that are small in stature too. But if you reel out our very best team, our very, very best athletes against these other guys, and they're trained for life to play this, I would like our chances. Kind of like the dream team in Australia against those guys playing basketball. I kind of like that when we had Michael and Larry and Magic, and it wasn't really competitive, and I don't think this would be either. This is the sport where we make the rest of the world feel good about themselves. They beat us. Congratulations. This in the Winter Olympics, have at it. Oh, they whipped our ass in the biathlon. It's like, I couldn't even tell you what 2 events there are. There's only 2 events in the biathlon. I have no idea what they are. I think it's long distance skiing, which I'm probably even saying that wrong, and shooting, right? It's like combined. I bet we win the shooting part. We don't. I mean, you tell me. I mean, I don't know. You tell me that our best athletes are out there on the field against their very best of the best.
It'd definitely be more competitive games. I'd say that.
Well, you think Brazil? Do you think that this is their very best athletes they have in their entire country?
This isn't necessarily even Brazil's best team. I mean,
no, but is this the best athletes that they have in their country? Or Argentina? You think these are the best athletes in all of Argentina?
Both, actually. I mean, they've had much better teams in the past.
Right. I'm not saying this is the best team they've ever had. I'm saying, do their very best athletes play this sport?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Do the U.S.'s?
No.
It's not even close.
No.
Or Canada's? Not even close. Not even close. It's not even close, man. You don't think Gretzky would have been good at this too?
It's really hard to say. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they would have been decent, but I mean,
decent
to be on the stage. I mean, it's not just.
You don't think Barry Sanders would run circles around these guys?
I don't know how well he could do it with a ball on his feet. I mean, if he practiced every day, yes, I'm probably sure he would get it down. Absolutely, yes. So yes, if you say that they practiced since they were kids, yes, I agree. They'd be good.
Do you follow baseball, right? You ever hear of a pitcher named Carlos Zambrano? You ever hear of him? Remember him, Carlos Zambrano? He was on the Cubs.
Yeah.
Played for the Marlins. This
teams.
guy, he didn't even look like he was that good of an athlete, but they said that this guy, you could have given him anything, and he'd kick your ass in it. There's certain guys. I have friends like this. I had a friend that I told you, my roommate in college. He'd never played golf in his life, man. He picked up a set of golf clubs and shot like in the 60s, his first time ever playing. It's like there's certain guys that are just really good at this stuff. Because they said Carlos Zambrano, if he picked up a ping pong paddle, he'd whip your ass. It's like it wouldn't even be funny. And Vita Blue was the same way.
If they practiced as kids, yes, I forgot that part of the equation. Yeah, I mean, but soccer is a sport. You have to, I think, pick up a young.
Of course, but I just think that on pure athletic talent, and physical build, I just think that the U.S. doesn't send their best players out there. And if they did, it would be a different story. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to take away from anything that these guys are accomplished because These guys are amazing. They're the best in the world. They get $60-70 million a year or more. You know, the best players. In the US, they don't see the vision, you know, to do that. You know, it's not really the places where the game is developed in the US is not really where the best athletes come from. Like the NFL players don't come from, you know, those areas. You know, the NBA players, they come from Chicago. You don't think Anthony Davis would have been a pretty good goalie in his day? Sure, he was pretty good.
I think some rugby players would have made some good football players too.
But they only make it as kickers. We've seen some rugby players in the NFL.
But I think if they practice the game, they could play more than just kickers.
We've seen them, though. We've seen them try to do it.
It's a different game. I mean, again, you have to practice.
No, I'm telling you. So this guy's saying in the comments, never playing golf and being good at golf is close to impossible. You're 100% wrong, because my roommate was the center on the Boston University hockey team, starting center. He got thrown out of school. He played at Merrimack. They won the national championship 2 years in a row. And I'm telling you, this guy picked up a set of golf clubs. He went to the driving range for about 25 minutes, and he could hit anything. He could hit like a soda can from like 150 yards away. I'm telling you, it was amazingly accurate. And he figured out the clubs. He's like, oh, I use this one to go this distance. I didn't have to tell him anything. He was like, oh, I see. This one goes higher, so it goes shorter. This one does. It's like he figured it out in 20 minutes.
You know what I want to see more of, though, is more athletes playing more sports professionally, like players used to. A couple players, and they play like baseball and football professionally. I want to see that at the same time.
I bet you Dion would have been good at this too. Would have been unstoppable. I don't know. I just think it would be interesting if the U.S. had their best athletes out there. I mean, I'm not making excuses or anything. This is what we got. But most of these guys wouldn't see the court in an NBA game, you know, or the field in a football game. They wouldn't.
It's just, you know, players, maybe not.
Have you? So the guy was saying that's crazy about golf. I'm telling you, if you look at the amateur golf tournaments, like when they have the athletes play, look at how the hockey players play, man. It's like they have amazing hand-eye, you know. Like at Boston University, where I went to school, I had never even really seen hockey before, and these guys were like a pro team, and my roommate was like one of the best guys on the team. And I asked him, I'm like, how did you train to do this? How did you do this? He said, when I was a kid, I would play in 5 leagues at a time. My parents would drive me from game to game. My father would get into fights in the stands of the games. It's like he grew up in Boston, and he played in Cape Cod. He's like,
you ever watched
all year long? He said he played 5 leagues at a time.
You ever watched a guy called Jonah Lomu play rugby? New Zealand? No, probably the best player ever, at least in my opinion. I think he'd make a hell of a running back, man. I don't know. If you watch some of his highlights.
I would like to see it. I mean, we've seen guys cross over.
Oh, he's old now, but yeah.
Anyways, we're on these games, the final games here, and we got sidetracked. I would just say, if you took those, I would like the U.S.'s chances if we took, I don't know, man, the Western Conference of the NBA and put them out there on the soccer pitch. I like our chances better than these guys playing against the Jaguars in a football game. I would, you know, or the Texans, you know, they wouldn't stand a chance. Chris, did you go over these games? St. Mary's, Houston?
Yes, yeah, I did.
All right. Jovan, did you do these games?
No. Wichita, looking at this Wichita State, Kansas State game, I agree with Chris, but I think they might have trouble getting to 110, let alone 129.5. You know, so I like the under in that game, and slight lean to Nevada. You know, they're showing something this year. I think they keep it all going against Loyola Marymount. Tough spot, though, you know, playing a little more Loyola Marymount, but I think they get the job done.
I'm waiting for Steve Alford to call me out at one of the press conferences. Like, this is the best he's ever coached. I got to give it to him. I just like Harbaugh. I rip the guy if he exceeds what I said about him, changes it. You got to give him credit. I give him all the credit in the world. I like Nevada as well against Loyola Marymount. I like Kansas State and Wichita State, but I don't know, man. 6.5 points just seems like a lot there. Seems like a ton. UNLV is actually a lot better team than they've been in recent years. So I like UNLV as well. Netherlands fans are partying like rock stars. Anyways, parlay time. Chris, what do you got?
All right, I'm going to go with a bit of a bigger parlay today. I'm going to go with Duke laying the points. I'm going to go with Indiana laying the points. I'm going to go with West Virginia plus the points. And UNLV laying the points.
Jovan?
Dallas Mavericks. I'm gonna go with Coastal. And I'm gonna do what Mitch does. I'm gonna take it on the money line. So Coastal on the money line. Dallas Mavericks. College of Charleston. Oral Roberts. That's it. 4-teamer.
4 teams. Al Ninos.
College basketball, go Princeton, Oral Roberts, and then Nevada.
Bradley on the money line with Alabama and Irvine for me. This is Mitch. Thanks for joining us. Make it a winning day. We appreciate each and every one of you. Go USA. I think we made it to the round of 16. It's like winning the championship for us, man. This ain't even our game. Kick their ass.
Bad result.
Kick their ass. We won. I declare victory.